Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. We're going back to talking commodities, but shifting away from agri-commodities to power. I'm being joined in the program by Kayode Omoshebi, who is an investment analyst with ARM Securities. Kayode, it's great to have you join me on the program. And a lot of things have actually, been said about the power sector. We started conversations yesterday talking about what investors want. And now we're talking about what the distribution companies and generating companies want. Yesterday, the Minister of Power, Works and Housing held a meeting with stakeholders in Ibadan. And one of the many things that came out of that conversation was that 7 of the 11 distribution companies have been asked to submit accurate reports of debts being owed. So it now brings that question of, do they even know how much customers owe them?
Yeah, the one they were talking about was the MDA debt, which was like 7.9 billion. So that's the ones owned by the ministry, departments, and agencies. Okay. So yeah, they still have a lot of debts owed. Most of them is not really about debts, about power that gets lost in the line. So they basically can account for them. So they still, you have roughly around 30% that's still lost for in terms of transmission. So for the power sector, it's just an issue of a sector that's in need of a bailout. So they try to look for issues across lines. So they have the debt, and for now, it's also they have this funding shortfall. So basically, their costs cannot actually, their revenue can't meet their costs, and so they have a shortfall of about 809 billion, and that's because gas prices in dollar. So most of these costs have gone up, and then we still have issues with the MITO since they increased in February. So they've gone to court, and the court is even saying they should hold on. Whereas there's also the appeal court who is saying they should go back to the previous plan. So these guys are actually at the mercy of the government. Exchange rate is tight for them, and so looking for how to fix these issues. So the MDA loan is something they need to actually meet up most of what the concerns are. Like when you look at what the disco remits to the embed, before it used to be around 65, it's fallen to about 30%, and that means the GENCOs are actually suffering from this, so they need this cash. And they've been calling for the debt by the association of the power sector, the stakeholders for a long time now. I think the issue is the fact that there's been issues with the amounts being reported by different guys. So the MDA, the last quarter, the DMO had to review most of this debt and see actually what's the exact amount that the MDOs are actually owing the discos. So it's a function of the sector being in the mercy of the bailout from funding issues. Apart from the legacy side, where I said there was a currency mismatch at the start, where they sold power sector in dollar and the revenues are meant to come in naira. So since we had this devaluation, it's actually been a concern for the power sector. But
Kayode, you will agree with me that so many things have happened in the interim, and really you do not expect to take over a business venture without calculating the risks, whether currency or domestic or international as the case may be. So moving beyond all of this risk, we've talked about, we're not with you anyway, had conversations about a bailout, and we know that the Central Bank of Nigeria raised about 213 billion naira bailout for the sector, and it seems not to be enough. But beyond that bailout, we're talking about raising bonds, which the National Assembly is not particularly in support of. Promissory notes. How about promissory notes?
Well, for me, I think it's if you could raise promissory notes to actually build them out, but it's about what the future is. So you still have gas prices, which is still dollar denominated. That's still going to be an issue for most of these guys. First is that they actually, first of all, is the debt issue with them. So most of this debt has actually, doubled from when they bought it, because most of them bought $1 at 199, and now it has actually doubled. So if you look at it in a real sense, the power sector assets are actually owned by the banks, because the banks are actually the major owners. So it's about maybe the government actually taking over these assets and actually giving it more. So because what we've seen so far is that most of these guys are business guys, they're not technical guys. And then if you look at it in terms of the losses, when they actually sold these assets, they've actually planned for most of these losses for the next 5 years. So really, we're having these losses and we're having guys complain after 2 years. So for us, I just think the government needs to build them out, but really the government needs to actually build the power sector out. The transmission company is also an issue, because most times you have guys who can actually boost their generation, but they cannot actually meet, the transmission can't take most of what they do. So you need to actually, restore the power sector, turn the whole power sector around.
Kayode, this power conversation, of course, it can't finish here. We can't even say it in 4 minutes. But thank you so much for coming on the program today. Kayode Omoshebi is an investment analyst with ARM Securities. And that's what we anchored today on Business Morning. Many thanks for staying with us. I'm Harriet Agbeni. Have a profitable day.